Hey everybody, welcome to TSDitto Reacts. Let's get into the video.
Like, okay, where's the story between where he lived in Pakistan and Tora Bora? Where's that story also, by the way? I want to know that story.
Do we know?
I have no idea. You?
No.
You ever heard anything?
No.
We need this like these JFK files. Let's go.
Well,
the American Medical Association has already licensed, copyrighted the word cancer. It's a copyrighted trade name of the American Medical Association. And only one of their licensed practitioners can use it. Now maybe your Coca-Cola tastes better. Maybe it's cheaper. Maybe it's more healthful. But without the Coca-Cola bottling company's license, it's a contract violation. You can't make Coke. Now you can make Gordon Cola or Johnson Cola, but you can't make Coca-Cola. Can you understand that? You can treat the botch of Egypt, but not cancer. Cancer is a copyrighted trademark. It's a monopoly. And it's against the law for you to interfere in somebody else's business monopoly because they pay an income tax on the joint venture with the government. And it produces $165 billion a year for cancer treatment in the United States. That's what the income tax is all about. Government does not need your money to function. They have all the credit in the world. They need to tax your wealth so that you cannot compete with General Electric. Now, what we're really dealing with here is religion. Perhaps you've heard it said that there is a clear distinction between religion and the state. I think that was a misstatement. I don't believe it for a moment. I think the state is organized religion, and I want to show you now on the board what happens in the state when you are dealing with the George Orwell symptom or the concept that he used called doublespeak and doublethink. If I told you that this is a blackboard and this is a podium, and I said, look on the podium and see the words I've written, you'd say, this man's a lunatic. Obviously, he's writing on the blackboard and speaking from the podium. What we do is we change the definitions of words over a period of time, and so that wages today are income. But when you go to an old law dictionary like Bouvier or Black's First or Second, you find that wages are property, and property isn't assessed or taxable. So where it came in was with the enabling clause of Social Security, in which the Social Security Act says in the enabling clause, for the purposes of this act, the following definitions shall apply. Wages, salaries, tips, commissions, and gifts shall be construed as income. You go to the public schools and they teach you to deal in wages, salaries, tips, commissions, and gifts. And then, of course, the government comes along and says, out of your own mouth, you've admitted that this is a tip. Out of your own mouth, you've admitted that this is a gift. And aren't these wages, salaries, tips, commissions, and gifts always paid in dollars? If they were paid in gold, silver, wheat, corn, beans, honey, and oil, they'd be property and non-taxable. Now let me show you about our judicial system that Eustace Mullins brought up this morning. He said it was a little corrupt. Yeah, I'll go along with that. There's a little corruption there. But more importantly than that, it's a religious system that comes from Exodus 18 and Exodus 21. It is the judicial system that was established by Moses. Not because Moses was corrupt do we say our judicial system today is corrupt, but because the system today is a perversion of the Levitical priesthood. which is now called the civil service.
We got to guide each other. We're not in an age of leadership anymore. We can see that. So where we really at right now is this. Remember this. If older people don't listen to younger people, they become slow amongst older people. When younger people don't listen to older people, they become slower amongst younger people. If young people would listen to older people, they move faster amongst younger people because you got advanced knowledge.
Right.
And when older people listen to younger people, we move faster in the older world because you got new knowledge. So when we listen to each other, we all grow, and that's called culture.
Let's not conflate it with being black.
Pulse. If husbands and wives would listen to each other, that would be called communication. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Otherwise, you'd have to defend Rachel Dolezal.
Well, there's no. Well,
Would you defend her?
Well, there's no defending crazy. That's crazy. But
Why is that crazy?
Hold on. Because she was a white woman that said she was black.
Yeah, that's a man saying he's a woman.
But let's back up.
If you're gonna say that a man can just be a woman, why can't Rachel Dolezal just be black? You got to be consistent.
Because she's white.
Okay, because it's a man.
No, but hold on. I get it.
You know I'm right.
I get
you know
it.
I'm right.
No, I don't agree. And this is not a matter of right or wrong.
But it is.
Hold on.
This one is.
Let me tell you.
Why isn't Rachel Dolezal black?
Because she's a white woman.
Okay, because it's a male or it's a female.
What?
Before you go grocery shopping, read these books about these foods. For bread, there's a book called
what?
For Your High Ingredient Foods Microbiome Diet. With ice cream, you would read The Obesity Code by Dr. Jason Fung. When you come across high ingredient foods, you can read a book called The Taste That Kills. For caffeine, you have Caffeine by Michael Pollan. When you come across the entire unedible aisle, that is Sicker, Fatter, Poorer. In the very first book, you'll understand how this entire shelf is all the same. In that very same book, what was the diet of this chicken? Grain? If you watch my videos, you'll notice there's always high fructose corn syrup in everything. And the main conclusion is, when in doubt, looking a little suspicious, flip it about and realize, well, that's why it looks suspicious. That's actually the Mind-Gut Connection book. It's why there's so many ingredients. For instance, take Why We Sleep. Your caffeine has a 12-hour half-life, so don't drink it within 12 hours of bedtime. And you'll start to come across profound conclusions. This entire aisle, nothing is edible in it. Putting sucralose in popcorn is diabolical. You can check out The Plant Paradox by Stephen Guthrie. Works really well for some and not at all for others. So now you understand that each and every single one of these is the exact same version of something that tastes just slightly different. Looks like someone was kind of hungry for junk. But now you can see dopamine feedback loop in carbohydrates. Now you can see sugar, fats, oils should only have peanut butter. Where you see this one is just peanut butter. And then when you dive down into this, you can see the sugar, the hydrogenated vegetable oils, and the salt. Now we know about the mind-gut connection between the sugar, oil, salt. If you look at all the research in the world, it tells you to not eat meat. In what world are you going to have bean with bacon? And then here, just do the math, right? Monosodium glutamate in soup. You'll notice every large corporation cuts corners. Monosodium glutamate. Pepsi has its high fructose corn syrup. You find the exact same thing in Oreos. So you'd think to yourself, Hidden Valley Ranch, well, why do they put monosodium glutamate in that? But remember, what they're always doing is vegetable oil, sugar, and salt. They turn everything from a food into a literal genetic concoction that is always going to have some sort of fat, some sort of salt, and some sort of sugar. When you decrease the number of ingredients you consume, you're basically severing the connections that have been made over years from your gut to your brain. I grew up poor, I ate these all the time. I had no idea this is what was going into my body. When we get older, we usually stop eating those. And it's easy to make healthy decisions. Look at cheese. You've got block cheese and you've got shredded cheese. Your shredded cheese has added ingredients, anti-caking, potato starches, tapioca starches, mold inhibitors, and your block of cheese is just cheese, salt, enzymes, calories. Making healthier decisions is not going to make you happy at first, because our happiness is related to what produces dopamine. And the dopamine feedback loop from these is going to be way different than that. Let's end it on an interesting note. You've got Heritage Flakes versus Frosted Flakes. Obviously, the giant size is not good. But this is all you pay attention to, okay? 200 calories here, 200 calories here, 37 grams here, 40 grams here. These vitamin and nutrients are not the natural version of vitamins and nutrients. It's corn, sugar, malt, flavor, and salt. These have 33 grams of carbohydrates, 1 gram of dietary fiber. These have 31 grams of carbohydrates, 7 grams of dietary fiber. This one will spike your blood sugar slower. This one will spike your blood sugar faster. But when you read that very first book, this is all just multiple different types of grain, some salt, some honey, some malt. So it's literally the same thing as this, except this is milled corn, sugar, and malt. This is a bunch of grains with salt and malt and honey. So spend one day for me, go to the grocery store and just flip everything around. You're always going to notice some companies didn't do the best job creating the best foods for us, that put a lot of food colorings in there. You'll be able to see without looking that this is just definitely not something for humans to consume. It's just sugar, glaze, food coloring, and the wax. And then after a while, you'll be able to see, there's some salsa, but you probably want the cold version of salsa. Here's all your rice. There's like one version of rice. This side is noodles. I'm sure there's possibly a noodle that you could consume. You've got different types of like diced tomatoes. Just get a natural tomato. You have tomato sauce. It probably has some sort of citric acid added into it. Yep, they're going to have salt, natural flavors. What do you mean? This is just tomato sauce. And what they'll say is no synthetic colors or artificial flavors, but then they have natural flavors in there. If it's natural, it would have been a tomato. So here's your takeaway to be healthier. When in doubt, flip it about and ask yourself, why is it bioengineered from all of these random things? Why does it have salt, canola oil, and sugar? And then when you compare two of them together, you see that they're both 70 calories. This one doesn't have oils, sugars, and salts added to it. It has olive oil and sea salt. And olive oil is better than canola oil, but you're always going to see there will be some sort of sugar, some sort of salt, and some sort of oil. The ingredients you eat are 100% connected to how you feel on a daily basis. I used to get stomach aches, I used to get headaches, I used to be tired and lethargic all the time until I changed my diet. So the things that I'm showing you are going to have real long-term impacts on your life in every way that you feel on a daily basis. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future. Have a beautiful day.
Pause. Okay, so what I took from that video was eat block cheese. Don't eat shredded cheese because there's some extra chemicals that they add to it in order for it to stay separated. Eat beans, rice, and tomatoes. Okay, I got that. Don't eat cereals, and don't eat anything that's processed. Beans can't be processed. They literally take them out of the ground and put them in a bag. When you wash them, you're literally actually washing the dirt off. We should all just eat beans every day. Beans. There's no processing. Cheese without the extra shred. I don't even know if water's safe, but moving on.
Earth is a school. You come here to learn lessons. They said Earth is a challenging planet. The main lessons you come here to learn is emotions and limitations. They're not experienced on a lot of other planets. Here we experience them in depth, emotions and limitations. And over there, you look at it, you say, oh, I can do that. That's no problem. Love, hate, jealousy, I can handle that. That doesn't sound so bad. But then you get in here, it's a lot different. This is a planet of free will. You come in with your nice little plan, all wrapped up like a Christmas present. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to get out. I don't have to come back anymore. But you get down here, and everybody else has got their nice little plans, and everything clashes. That's free will. We don't realize what's happening. And Earth is a school where you can't skip a grade, but you can take the grade over again. You don't get to go on to the next lesson until you've learned this lesson. You can't graduate. You can't jump from kindergarten to college. You have to go step by step. And if you're not getting it, you'll be repeating the same thing again and again. How many of you in your life now see that? The same thing over and over. I keep drawing the same kind of a man to me. I keep drawing the same kind of a woman, same kind of a situation. When am I going to get out of this? It's because you haven't figured out what it's trying to teach you. Once you figure out what it's trying to teach you, then you go on to the next lesson, which may or may not be better. It may be worse, but it's all about learning. And if you don't learn, you have to come back and do the whole same thing all over again with the same people. And people say, I don't want to do that. I've had enough of this. I don't want to come back with the same people again. But if you don't learn it, this is what you're destined to do. You don't get out of it. And Earth is not the only school that you go to. People tell me they're so surprised to find out they've had one past life on Earth. I said, oh, that's just the beginning, just the very tip of the iceberg. You've lived on other planets. You've lived in other dimensions. Earth is a very young planet. It's isolated over here in this part of the solar system. You have been around forever, since the beginning, having adventures. You've lived in other planets, other dimensions. You've had bodies that were just pure energy. I get this all the time with the people I'm working with. They don't go to past lives here on Earth. They go to other dimensions where they have bodies you can't even believe. And when you finish your life here, finally you're going to get through eventually. Then maybe you'll say, well, okay, I just think I'm going to go over to this other planet over here, the other dimension.
America is originally Egypt.
So it's a constant learning that's going on.
This
all
explains
of the
so much
time.
because personally, I feel like I'm in a loop, and I'm in the same situation I was in last year, right now at this very spot, the year before, right here at this very spot. I just keep getting right back stuck in the same old loop, and I don't know what I must have done in a past life to be right here, right now, doing the exact same thing as I was last year, and just trying to figure out how, why am I so stuck? I'm stuck. It's killing me, y'all. Pray for me, because I'm tired of being stuck. And I feel like, what, was I so bad in a terrible life? I think I'm so sweet and so nice and so happy, but I must not have been. Whatever it is, I'm sorry. Please help me. Pray for me. I need it. All right, back to the video.
There's a portal going from the Grand Canyon into Egypt. Why is it that most of the Grand Canyon is owned by who?
NASA.
Exactly. What?
Whoever built those pyramids and a lot of those ancient structures, they had already discovered the theory of relativity previous to Einstein.
Yeah, those structures, I mean, they went 1.5 miles long down.
Jeez.
And they have these coils that wrap around them. Maybe these coils are actually conductors. The pyramids of Giza, not too far from Nile River. Now, there's pyramids here in America. East St. Louis, they're called monk mounds. What's near that same structure? Mississippi River. So are we talking about these structures being hydroelectric?
Have you ever heard of the elbow voodoo?
No.
You never heard about this?
No.
Why you're not supposed to touch other people's elbows?
No, what?
Oh, you never heard of this?
No.
I thought you know this. Okay, so in voodoo rituals, or in voodoo itself, there's one specific thing that you have to avoid.
Before continuing, I wanted to warn you guys. Their phones were being spied on. Click on this icon, then on more. If you see it, delete it immediately.
It's rubbing elbows with somebody. And it's crazy. So there's this video that went viral on TikTok, and it's of this guy. He's in New Orleans. Now, I don't know if you know about New Orleans like that, but there's a lot of people that practice witchcraft, voodoo, all these different things. Now, there's this one guy, and it's caught on video, he's trying to convince a stranger that he can tell him his future. All he has to do is rub elbows with him. Yeah. Now check this out. So the whole purpose of it, and the reason it holds so much danger, is because if you rub elbows with somebody and somebody that knows what they're doing with it, they can switch their destiny with you.
No
So it's called
way.
a destiny swap.
What the?
It's called a destiny swap. So imagine you're back in elementary school. Whoever you're sitting beside, you rubbed elbows with, you might have swapped destinies.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show
$5 billion plus to Harvard over a short period of time. Case. It's a case we win. We can't lose that case because we have the right to make grants. We're not going to make any grants like that. very nicely. I think Columbia wants to get to the bottom of the problem. They've acted very well. And there are other institutions, too, that are acting, but Harvard's trying to be a big shot. And all that
if there's any interfering energies in your energy field, it is usually represented as a distortion in your physical body. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is to place your hands together like book pages. There is a line that comes below your little finger up towards your third finger. I want you to match those up like book pages. Then I want you to let your eyes follow up to this top crease on your little finger. And do they match? Yes. Or is one longer out of alignment? If they don't match, simply I'm going to tell you your polarities are out. And we want your energies balanced, right? So my question to you is, if there's anything interfering with your free will choice and your ability to manifest and move forward according to your heart's desire, do you choose to be free? Yes. If you choose to be free, I invite all of you to do this just for the exercise. From the divine love that flows within my being. Whatever is in my auric field. That is interfering with my free will choice. Whether it is here with or without my permission. I command. In the name of the Creator. And the divine love that flows within my being. That it goes to the nucleus of its being. I command. That this now be transmuted. Into the divine expression of creative love. And so it is. Now, for those whose hands may have been out of alignment, if you check now, you might be surprised to find out they're in alignment. For simplicity's sake, I would say that your polarities were off, and they were. But for you of higher understanding here tonight, I'm going to suggest and tell you that you had an entity. There's more than one soul in that body. And picking up an entity is not unusual. We could take the next 10 people walking down the street and you'd find several with their hands out. But you don't have to pick them up. You don't have to embody them. You can simply, by this beautiful proclamation, send them home. We sent them to the nucleus of their being. That is the golden spark that lies within each one of us that connects us to Creator. As long as you have an emotional bond to a loved one, they cannot cross over. They cannot leave the earth plane. The greatest gift of love you can ever give someone is to let them go. And so after a while, they decide, well, I can't go anywhere. I just might as well jump in the back seat of this vehicle and go along for the ride. It's much more exciting to be in a vehicle than it is to be without a vehicle. That's why we came and took a vehicle. I call this your home, and nobody can come into your home without your permission. But sometimes we give permission because we simply forget to close the door. Here's the one I like. It's a beautiful candlelit dinner. You're holding a glass of wine in our hands. We look deep into each other's eyes and we say, we'll be together forever. Ooh, the power of words. We just made a contract. And one passes over and says, hey, I don't have to go anywhere. I have a contract. Now you got a traveling buddy. For the most part, they're just content to sit in the back of the vehicle and go along for the ride. But once in a while, they might say, hey, you get in the back, I'd like to drive a while. Once in a while, they might even say, I like it up here. You just stay back there. And pretty soon you find out you're no longer in charge of your vehicle. So the first thing we want to do in the healing process is to make sure we have no freeloaders riding along in our vehicle.
Science proves that human beings only see 4% what's in front of them.
Damn.
What happens when we can see 10% what's in front of us? Would we be in fear? This is the same reason why if you take your Tesla down to the local cemetery and you sit there with your barometric camera on, you're going to see human beings walking around on that camera that you can't see with your own visual perception. Why is that? What is that about? Why do scientists come out and say that the afterlife takes a place in another dimension?
Which I think for sure.
Why is that? I've seen people dying. I looked at people's faces when they was checking out. They looking past me, they looking past you. Whatever they looking at is not what we thinking.
It's like that thing that happened in the Vietnam War where they had that special dye on their glasses and they're seeing monsters that was there and then they take them off and they're not there.
Really? I didn't know about that. That's crazy.
It's a certain dye that they actually banned in America.
Oh, was that Agent Orange or was that something else?
No, it's something
It was
else.
a diet they used to color the lenses on night vision goggles. They went from a red spectrum to the current spectrum that we on now, which is green, grays, and white. When they was using the red spectrum, soldiers complained that they seen monsters.
Definitely come, whether you believe it or not. I took a trip to New Orleans, and let me tell you this. When I took that trip, my spirit didn't feel right. It's a wonderful town. I enjoyed myself, but my spirit didn't feel right. I don't have bad things to say about Louisiana, but what I will say is my spirit felt that something is there. And this right here proves exactly what I'm talking about. Y'all better learn how to leave well enough alone, or you're gonna find yourself in a situation that you can't get out of. I'm out.
This was the largest antebellum plantation house in the South, owned by one of the richest enslavers in the South. This is the Nottoway Plantation in Louisiana. It was built by enslaved Africans in 1859. It was owned by this guy, John Randolph. Now, John wasn't even from Louisiana. He was from Virginia originally, but he came from a wealthy slave-owning family, and his dad was hired by the federal government, and he moved with him. Now, originally, he wanted to make it into a cotton plantation, the same type of plantation that he was used to in Virginia. But he noticed that the climate in Louisiana was a lot different, so he changed it to a sugar plantation. And because of that, he ended up tripling his family's wealth. And he was a huge financial backer of the Confederacy in Louisiana. When he realized that the Confederacy was losing, he left his wife in Louisiana, took 200 slaves, and went to Texas. Once the Civil War was over, he eventually died in 1883, and his wife eventually sold the plantation for $50,000. That's the equivalent of $1.9 million today. And now he has no legacy at all.
Not only were people seeing the intense red planet in the sky yesterday and thinking it was the sun, but we're also in the middle of a G4 level geomagnetic storm. And the storm is charging up the magnetosphere so hard, it's pushing the auroras into colors that we have never seen before, y'all. Check this out. Look at that, y'all. Look at this intense orange, y'all. Oh my goodness. Look at this in Montana, y'all. Billings, Montana. How do you explain this? The whole landscape is purple. Look. The aurora has literally taken over the sky. Like the sunset is not doing nothing. Y'all, everybody was seeing miraculous things last night. This looks like a whole world. Look at this, y'all. I zoomed in. It looks like something is morphing in the background. Y'all see that? That's crazy, huh? Worlds on top of worlds over here. Look at the colors this plane caught in the sky in Antarctica. It's like blue, green, purple. Y'all, have y'all ever seen this? Look at that, y'all. Green, blue, purple. And I also heard tonight there's going to be sightings of more auroras and the red sun too, y'all. So I think we're in the middle of a shift because look at this, because someone sent me this. Why does the sun look like this? It's not about the set, y'all. This is it in the middle of the sky. He said he looked back and the sun completely disappeared after this. Like, where did it go? Or, this is not the sun. We already know what this is. Now, is it just me, or are these moving a little slower than usual, y'all? It looks like souls moving up there. Looks like people. Look like people just walking up. Y'all see that? They're walking up there. I guess that's what DL4 meant, blue and yellow, purple hills, right? Or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But y'all see that, right? Or pills, y'all know what I mean. But let me know what you guys think about this. Did y'all see this last night as well, y'all? The shift is here. Let's continue to get it. Peace out.
How do you feel about the beer company that pulled the commercial you endorsed because of your anti-Jew lyrics?
Well,
Anti-Semitic lyrics would be a nicer way of putting it.
Well, the lyrics aren't really anti-Semitic, and I can't understand. You know, I listen to people like the Simon Wiesenthal and Rabbi Cooper, and am I getting this wrong? Are they saying that they condone what Jerry Heller or some of these other people have done to me? Do they say that it's all right for Jewish managers to get young black kids with talent off the street without without lawyers and without people that was helping me in my benefit to make records? That's what I'm getting out of this, and I really would like to speak to Rabbi Cooper about that. You know, because maybe, you know, if they're getting mixed messages on that side of the table, I'm kind of getting mixed messages on this side of the table too.
We're talking about the Simon Wiesenthal Center, which said that your album should not be distributed and that people should not listen to it.
For people to think that I'm talking about one man that happens to be Jewish. If this man was green, then I would still talk about it. If he was black, I would still talk about him.
I guess what hurts Jewish people is the fact that you have to say he's Jewish. Why not just say Jerry Heller?
Well,
you know, what you end up doing is saying, okay, this guy's a Jew.
How do you?
I was like, why is Israel always involved in every story pertaining to blackmail? Because they've been running a very sophisticated blackmail op. That's just the reality of things. And they desperately didn't want to register. AIPAC so desperate. I'm not saying that this had to do with JFK's assassination, but I'm just helping you guys put pieces together by just asking questions. Dun dun dun. How dare you ask questions? So here's the truth, okay? Israel has always been interested in controlling American minds, and now when you understand that they blackmailed the Rockefeller family, which prints American books, the Rockefeller family, which is involved in American medicine, okay, you start to ask a lot more questions. And the evidence is overwhelming that they've always had an investment. Of course, there's no way they could have survived this long without taking over our military, okay? Without taking over or blackmailing and getting involved, the Mossad and the CIA. I think they're the same body, and they have been for a very long time. This is me speculating now. Take it or leave it. I really don't care. I literally do not care what name you're going to call me for thinking. I'm going to think while I still have permission to. And as I said, I think the evidence is overwhelming. In many ways, I would say Israel has been so ahead of us in terms of understanding the importance of education and the information war and propaganda. Example, Wikipedia. A go-to source. Again, like I said, they just pop up everywhere. A go-to source for so many people regarding what the facts are. You do a quick search, Wikipedia comes up first, and then you find out via a video of Naftali Bennett, who became a prime minister. The prime minister of Israel is in this video I'm about to show you, discussing how as soon as Wikipedia hit the map, they were infiltrating, training Zionists to become the editors. This is a real clip of a future prime minister of Israel. Take a listen.
With My Israel has arranged instruction day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to edit in Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world. As a way of example, if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
So casual. We're just like training editors to go in there and to make sure that things are Zionist. You know, look up anything, it's going to be like Zionist spit on it. So it's like, this is not, none of this stuff is conspiracy, guys. And it's like putting together a puzzle, questions that we all have about our government and why it just seems impossible for the media to tell the truth when anybody questions anything about the foreign state of Israel. And my goal in doing this and showing this is that I hope that people who are Jewish Americans can understand that they too are being influenced by the state. Like, they too are being led to believe that, like, if they don't attack every single person who says anything about the state of Israel, there's a lot of things to critique or ask questions about, that somehow they're going to wake up one day and be in a second Holocaust. And that's not the reality, because you're American, so it's American gang gang. You just be American, say rah 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 USA. You don't even want to move there. You know you don't. This is a great country. It's a wonderful country. And we have to all stop allowing our minds to be warped by their education system. That's kind of my opinion. And by the way, Trump is apparently abolishing the Department of Education. We should have more on that.
Okay, that's the end of today's video. Thank you so much for joining TSDitto Reacts. Please hit the like, subscribe, and the notification button, and join me for each video that I put out there for your enjoyment. Thank you so much. Talk to you next time. Bye.